about it? Like, how does that work?
First, I will ask you if you're trying to rhyme in your poetry. But if you're like, nah, I'm just trying to make it sound good. If you're trying to rhyme, it's a whole different ballgame.
Wait, you don't have to rhyme in poetry?
No, you don't have to rhyme in poetry. You don't have to rhyme in poetry. Because there's those poems that be like, you are the bane of my existence and I see the love in you. Like that's that poetry. Then there's a, he not it not she. Like, you know, when they rhyme and stuff. So I would say it depends on that. If you don't care so much about the rhyme, but you care about like having depth in your poems, I would say you need to choose the thing that's either weighing heaviest on your heart or the thing that is most prominent in your heart. So if you're like, nah, ain't nothing that great in my life I have to write poems about, I'm saying, okay, so write about the heaviest thing on your mind. That's a constant thing in your mind. Because I feel like poetry stems from like the deepest of emotions. Like I mean, I guess you can write without feeling a thing, but like how many people will relate if it's actually not as personal? You know, people relate to personal shit at the end of the day. So I would say get the thing that's most prominent on your heart at the moment. And when you get to that, shit, that's a good question.
That's a great answer.
So yeah, you get to the thing that's most prominent on your heart, and I would say don't focus so much on what it sounds like. I would say focus on how you read it. Cause like, think about it. If you could be like, oh, like you hurt me and I didn't like it. But if you're like, you hurt me, I didn't like it. You take certain pauses and certain like in between like certain breaks, then you would read it properly. So I think focus more on how it sounds out loud than you do about how it sounds on paper. Cause like poetry is interesting to read, but like it has to sound good to the person reading it too, you know? So I would say that.
Who's the GOAT? Like, who's that person that's really doing it? Is there like an MBA of poetry?
Honestly, for me, like, they're mad old poets though, like, but they have been the ones that have inspired me to this day. So like, I actually would say Shihan the poet, the whole, I wanna love like me, that guy.
I wanna love like me, thinking of you, thinking of me, thinking of you type love.
And there's another poet, his name is Gemini.
Army of red and an army of blue, and I stand tall and true as I ask you, what are you fighting for?
I don't know if they still do poetry like they do, but them, honestly, I wanna say every single person, okay, the way I found them too, it was a Def Jam poetry. Yeah, it was through that. So I would say half of everybody on there would be goated, but I would say, yo, number one for me was Shihan the poet, because yo, there's something about the way he reads it, there's something about the way he takes up a stage presence. Yeah, he takes up a stage presence well, and he knows when to pause. He knows his wordplay is crazy. I want to consider some rappers too, because like rap stems from poetry, so I want to consider some of them too. But if we're talking poets, I want to say Shihan the poet, Gemini, and Dumi Deya.
Do you have a favorite poem that you wrote yourself? Like, say your favorite, and also speak about like how you felt wrote it.
Okay. I got two favorite poems. One of them is called, it's actually funny because all my friends make fun of this one. Like, not make fun of, but like, it's cool. It's, I called it Turning Tables. I think I like that one. It was one of my favorites because, for one, like, it was an interactive poem. Like, I would be like, oh, I would say a line, I raise my hand, and the crowd would be like, now the tables have turned. So I was like that, and they really, really fucked with that one, right? So I like it for that reason. Also, I like it because at the time that I wrote it, it was just mostly about like, basically, he who laughs first laughs last, right? So the whole poem was about like feeling like how I got betrayed in life, or like not getting what I gave, blah, blah, blah. So the poem was basically like, yeah, you did all this to me, that's fine. But at the end of the day, tables turn and you will get yours the same ways like it was put on me, you know? Obviously, like, we're in different spaces and like no hate to anyone, but like, I like stuff like that, especially when I feel like people were intentionally trying to cause harm, I would say. So I like that poem for that. And just the way it goes, like the whole now the tables have turned, it's so, I get chills when the crowd interacts with that poem because like it shows that they really mess with it the way I mess with it. So that one. And another one that's my favorite is the one, I have a video for it dropping very soon, inshallah. I haven't titled it yet, honestly. And it's crazy, I wrote it in 2020, but I'm putting it out this year. We recorded it in September, but I'm putting it out this year. And I think it's my favorite because, yo, shout out to my friend Mosey who helped with the whole creative direction for that, everything. Just the way it looks. I have a very clean vision in my head, okay? And until it comes out properly, I'm gonna be frustrated. And he was so on my level to make sure that happened. Like he thought of the whole creative idea, everything, and it looks so clean. And I think I like that poem the most because it's so full circle. Like the poem was written in 2020, but I'm just now defrosting from the lessons of that poem right now, okay? And it's like, cause it's crazy, cause like it starts like, I need one love, a hug, and passion. I need way less talk and hella more action. I need to ignite my fire once more, then keep it lit with persistence. I need to be more conscious of life and stay awake from my existence. I need to not be driven by ego. It might burn bridges with all the right people. So just like, it's so real, it's so raw. And I'm like, yo, like the way I also like it so much because I know people are gonna relate and I know I need to put that out, not even for me anymore, for people who need something like that. So I'm getting chills right now. So that's how I know like it's the one. And I fuck with it. I just so hard, bro. I just so hard, man. Like it actually made me proud of myself. Like I don't toot my own horn often in my poetry and anything, but this one I'm so proud of. Like this one's my baby and I'm ready to put it out to the world. I lied. There's another poem that's another favorite because it's so real and raw. It has to do with family, you know? So, and for that reason, it was one of the realest that I wrote, especially at the time in my life that I was in. So, and it stemmed from also my little sister, and yo, crazy to say it out loud, but like she's one of my biggest inspirations to this day, one of my biggest supporters. So like writing that poem, it stemmed from a movie, but it related to her in a way, you know? So it's like daddy's youngest girl ain't living in daddy's fantasy world, because while he tries to tie her down despite him barely being around, she learned the game of greed real thorough. Now she's rolling with big dogs, receiving her referrals, because she's stepping the ladder, proving she more than just a girl. And that even relates to me, because it's like in this game, yeah, hey, yeah. In this world, like, yo, it's a man's world at the end of the day, but it's like, we're not them little babies no more. Like, we can get it just like the men get it. And for that reason, I will always vouch for that poem too. So yeah, those are my favorite poems ever.